these photos actually show Noah's Ark, then they can prove that everything that's written in the Bible about this whole event is actually true, right? This is a historical event that actually happened.
He doesn't think he's the new Noah, but he does think the Bible story may in fact be factual, and he wants to open a theme park to make the case.
In the annals of history, few tales rival the epic saga of Noah, the Great Flood, and the colossal ark that saved the lives of man and animals. These stories have echoed through millennia, capturing our imaginations and sparking relentless quests for truth. But what if these ancient tales aren't merely folklore? What if buried within the icy embrace of Mount Ararat lies tangible proof, waiting to rewrite history books? Join us on this thrilling adventure as a drone captures what no one was supposed to see on Mount Ararat. A modern quest on Mount Ararat. Where exactly is Noah's Ark according to the Bible? According to the story, after the floodwaters receded, the Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Mount Ararat is located in modern-day Turkey, close to the borders of Armenia and Iran. Despite numerous expeditions and many claims over the years, scientists have never found conclusive archaeological evidence of the Ark's existence on Mount Ararat or anywhere else. The tale of Noah's Ark is mainly a religious story, and its precise location continues to be a mystery. But now, the long-standing mystery of Noah's Ark's existence might finally have an answer. Dr. Fatih Ahmed Yücel set his sights on the rugged peaks of Mount Ararat in a quest to uncover the fabled Noah's Ark. Intrigued by the stories surrounding this ancient vessel from biblical accounts, Yücel believed Mount Ararat held the key to unlocking its mysteries. With him was a diverse team of archaeology students, photographers, climbers, researchers, and technical experts, armed with state-of-the-art equipment and an unwavering resolve. Bitter cold and fierce winds marked their journey as they ventured through the icy slopes of Mount Ararat. For years, these dedicated Ark enthusiasts had scoured these unforgiving heights, hoping to find any trace of Noah's Ark. Would their efforts finally bear fruit? The answer awaited. Arriving at the Durapinar site, rumored to house remnants of the legendary Ark, researcher Andrew Jones spotted a promising anomaly protruding from the snowy surroundings. Ground-penetrating radar soon confirmed the presence of a substantial structure buried beneath the snow, a meticulously organized arrangement of timbers and metal materials hinting at a man-made construction. The team's excitement soared as they realized the dimensions of the timbers matched those described in ancient texts, fueling optimism that they had indeed discovered Noah's Ark. Their breathtaking find spurred immediate action. Carefully extracting and examining wooden fragments dating back an astonishing 4,800 years, Yücel and Jones wasted no time in alerting British media and local Turkish museums of their groundbreaking discovery. Yücel, brimming with excitement, declared to reporters that the structure did not resemble any large, ancient wooden vessel known to history. It could well be the very Ark itself. News of their discovery spread like wildfire, capturing global attention and sparking intense debate. Faith versus science. When Dr. Yücel and Jones announced their discovery of what they claimed to be Noah's Ark remains on Mount Ararat, it instantly became a global sensation, dominating headlines worldwide. The Christian community largely embraced the finding as solid evidence validating key events from the Old Testament. Conversely, the scientific community approached it cautiously, raising doubts and sparking intense debates among Bible scholars, archaeologists, geologists, historians, and evolutionary biologists. They debated fiercely over the authenticity of the discovery and its potential implications for established historical narratives. Dr. Raymond Johns of Yale Divinity School, among other scripture scholars, expressed profound excitement during a televised CNN discussion. Johns passionately suggested that this discovery could provide archaeological proof of significant biblical stories, such as the flood and Noah. The possible alignment of carbon dates found in wood remnants with the Genesis timeline further strengthened these discussions. Christian denominations seized upon the intriguing possibility of discovering Noah's Ark, integrating it into their sermons and teachings as proof of biblical truths. In a heartfelt sermon, Pastor Frank of a small Oklahoma congregation exclaimed, "Seeing and touching remnants of God's covenant with Noah now validates our unshakable faith in Holy Scripture." In response to the groundbreaking revelation, organizations like God Evidence Archaeology mobilized resources. rallying support to fund Christian expeditions to Mount Ararat for further exploration and confirmation. On the other hand, skeptical geologists pointed to well-documented evidence from Earth's geological history. Professor Martin Stokes, chair of UC Berkeley's Archaeology Department, emphatically stated on MSNBC that there is no geological proof of a worldwide catastrophic flood occurring just a few thousand years ago. He emphasized that even if remnants of an ancient boat were discovered, it wouldn't challenge the widely accepted timeline of human civilization that has been meticulously developed over decades. In a surprising twist, some scientists accused the explorers of staging or fabricating the entire discovery to attract attention and financial gain, rather than relying solely on rigorous scientific inquiry to draw their conclusions. In Turkey, Islamic clergy expressed doubts, suggesting that Noah's Ark may have come to rest somewhere other than Mount Ararat. An impassioned Turkish imam warned reporters that continuing to search Mount Ararat while disregarding what he believed to be the true prophetic location of the Ark was religiously misguided. He affirmed that believers who knew the actual location of the vessel remained unmoved by the purported findings, affirming their belief that the Ark landed elsewhere. Geology professors questioned the reliability of dating ancient wood with such precision, even with advanced technology. Defenders of biblical accounts countered by suggesting that the scientific community feared evidence that might challenge evolutionary theory. Amidst these debates, believers urged scientists not to suppress what they saw as the truth upheld by faith for generations. Meanwhile, scientists called for independent peer reviews of the methods used in the discovery. A journey of discovery. After extensive debate, Dr. Yücel finally consented to guide several impartial evaluators to the secluded site to inspect the remnants of what might be Noah's Ark firsthand and deliver their assessments. The world held its breath in anticipation of the decisive outcome. Had Dr. Yücel truly accomplished the extraordinary feat of discovering Noah's elusive vessel frozen atop Turkey's renowned mountain? Or was this an intricate deception on the verge of exposure? Caught in the middle was Dr. Alice Ng, a figurative historian grappling with conflicting personal beliefs. She documented her thoughts as she awaited the final judgment. Her faith affirmed the truth of the Bible, yet her professional integrity demanded verified timelines of ancient civilizations. Nevertheless, as a woman of faith, she had prayed to witness God's wonders unveiled in her lifetime. Like Dr. Ng, people on both sides of the debate hesitated, unsure whether to hope for validation or dismissal of the controversial discovery. Meanwhile, Yücel's discoveries underwent rigorous analysis in classified laboratories, each new revelation captivating a global audience. Critics argued that no evidence would satisfy skeptics, while proponents insisted such a momentous find warranted thorough examination. The majority followed the unfolding saga with curiosity, rather than staunch conviction. Could these mysterious artifacts reshape religious doctrine, scientific paradigms, and humanity's established chronology? Or would this provocative discovery fade into disappointment, like countless others before it? Until a conclusive verdict was reached, the impassioned debate persisted. When radiocarbon dating pinpointed the age of the massive wooden structure on Mount Ararat to roughly coincide with the timeline of Noah's Ark, as described in the Bible, it sent shockwaves through both religious communities affirming historical accuracy and skeptical scientists clinging to established theories. The revelation sparked intense debates worldwide, marking a pivotal moment in the quest for truth. Dr. Yücel and Jones unveiled the remarkable discovery of a colossal wooden structure closely resembling the biblical description of Noah's Ark, captivating the entire globe. If authenticated, this finding had the potential to reshape historical narratives and religious beliefs. However, achieving widespread acceptance required meticulous verification beyond any doubt. The first crucial step was to transport carefully extracted fragments of ancient wooden beams and other organic materials to certified radiocarbon dating laboratories. Under strict confidentiality agreements, these labs conducted thorough analyses to determine the age of the components. Their method measured the levels of residual carbon-14 isotopes with unprecedented precision. After weeks of anticipation, the laboratory results confirmed the age with startling clarity. The carbon decay signatures within the organic samples dated the wood and other materials to approximately 4,800 years old. This revelation placed the weathered timbers around the year 2,800 BC, with a small margin of error accounting for several generations. Dr. Yücel's revelation during a gripping televised interview was solemn and profound. The ancient timbers discovered on Mount Ararat predate even the oldest known structures, aligning closely with the timeline of the Great Flood, as recounted in Scripture, which spans from 5,000 to 3,000 BC. This overlap presents a compelling case that the wreckage carbon dated on the mountain could be the remains of Noah's Ark, built and sealed during the traditional dates associated with the cataclysmic event. The implications stunned biblical scholars. Dr. William Jennings, a renowned professor of Old Testament studies, emphasized that if the laboratory's carbon dating is accurate, these organic remnants unquestionably place the origin of the structure precisely within the narrow window described in Genesis for the global flood. The alignment between scientific data and biblical narrative is astonishing. In response to these findings, theologians hurried to revisit Genesis passages detailing Noah's Ark, its dimensions, and construction materials. As the lab results gained credibility within religious communities, questions arose. Could this scientifically validated discovery confirm that all the biblical accounts related to the Ark, including the Great Flood itself, are historical records rather than allegorical tales? Around the globe, churches resonated with renewed fervor as pastors passionately reinforced to their congregations that science, through carbon dating, now provides empirical evidence supporting the historical accuracy of their scriptural teachings. Carbon dating controversy. Several skeptical scientists strongly oppose the dating methodology and its conclusions. The lead geologist, who initially dismissed the findings regarding the structure on Mount Ararat, insisted on more conclusive evidence to rule out sample contamination. He emphasized that constructing accurate carbon decay curves spanning millennia remains more of an art than a precise science. Accordingly, he called for a comprehensive review of the entire analysis process to address any potential procedural flaws. However, while some reluctantly acknowledged the accuracy of the carbon dating itself, they remained skeptical of its implications. A group of anthropologists expressed their reservations in Times magazine, arguing, "Discovering old wood does not definitively prove that this structure is Noah's legendary ark as described in the Bible, nor does it verify the tales of a worldwide flood." These experts maintained their stance based on established records of gradual societal development during the Stone Age. Adding to the dissent, a vocal university biologist risked his tenure by critiquing his peers in academic journals, stating, "It is absurd that the scientific community accepts these carbon dating results without question, especially given my career's foundation in gradual speciation models." Emotions ran high amidst the profound revelations, with professional careers and reputations hanging in the balance. According to scientist Todd Wood, director of Bryan College's Origins Research Center, radiocarbon dating must be recalibrated to accommodate shorter periods. Wood argued that if the timber structure found by the global team from Noah's Ark Ministries is indeed 4,800 years old, conventional radiocarbon dating, which typically spans tens of thousands of years, should be applied. Wood speculated that Noah's Ark may never be discovered, suggesting that the massive boat likely disintegrated over time and its wood repurposed for other uses, such as building houses. Stony Brook archaeologist David Zemansky added weight to the skepticism, arguing there's no geological evidence of a large flood in Turkey around 4,000 years ago. He questioned the claims made by international Noah's Ark explorers, suggesting they may be manipulating archaeological, historical, and geological records. Zemansky emphasized that even if a wooden structure or boat were found on Mount Ararat, it wouldn't necessarily confirm it as Noah's Ark. Amidst heated debates in academia and the media regarding the radiocarbon findings, Dr. Uckel's team endeavored to maintain impartiality. When accused of religious bias, the lead archaeologist responded by emphasizing that their role was solely to report the discovery, advocating for further investigation using rigorous scientific methods. Meanwhile, Jones confided to chaplains that the alignment of the lab dates with the chronology of the flood was indeed surprising. What mattered most was the breakthrough enabled by precise carbon dating, pinpointing the age of the remarkable structure on Mount Ararat to the exact era described in the biblical tale of Noah's Ark. Whether the findings were embraced eagerly or with skepticism, the calibrated radiocarbon results garnered significant attention from both religious communities and academia alike. This marked only the beginning of the quest for conclusive answers. Regional flood or global catastrophe? Author and theologian Gavin Ortland, sharing his perspective, argues that the narrative in Genesis chapter 6 describes a flood event that impacted a vast region of the earth, rather than being a global catastrophe. He aims to educate people about the diversity of views within Orthodox Christianity, which historically hasn't been widely recognized. Regarding his personal beliefs, Ortland leans towards interpreting the flood as a local or regional event, although he emphasizes that this doesn't imply it was insignificant in scale. He stresses that the core of the debate lies in how one interprets the story of Noah as told in Genesis. Ortlund highlights several factors influencing his interpretation. He points out the limited geographic scope of human civilization at the time of the flood, suggesting that the biblical author and original audience likely didn't conceive of the entire globe as we understand it today. This understanding is rooted in the context of humanity's early confinement to a particular region before dispersing across the world after the events at the Tower of Babel. He acknowledges that biblical writers were unaware of continents like the Americas and considered the world from a perspective limited to their known lands. Ortlund emphasizes that as our scientific understanding of the Earth advances, our interpretation of biblical texts must adjust accordingly. This process aims not to undermine the truth of Scripture, but to grasp its original meaning within its ancient context. In summarizing his viewpoint, Ortlund underscores the challenge of interpreting Scripture faithfully, while considering ancient perspectives and the language used to describe events like Noah building the Ark, and where exactly it rested. A biblical mystery. When Dr. Uckel and Jones unveiled their astounding find of what they claimed to be remnants of Noah's Ark on Mount Ararat, the world clamored for more information. However, the explorers kept the exact coordinates of their discovery closely guarded to prevent damage from unqualified visitors. This secrecy fueled widespread speculation about whether they had indeed identified the legendary vessel's landing site as described in Genesis, thereby validating the epic tale of the flood itself. According to the book of Genesis, after 40 days and nights of relentless rain, the floodwaters gradually receded, revealing dry mountaintops where Noah's Ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. For centuries, the exact location remained a mystery, but tradition eventually settled on Turkey's Mount Ararat, the tallest peak in the ancient Urartu kingdom. When Uckel hinted at finding a colossal ark-like structure on Mount Ararat, it resonated deeply with millions of believers. This discovery seemed to confirm nearly 2,000 years of belief that this biblical mountain was indeed the final resting place of Noah's Ark. Father Etheridge, a prominent Old Testament scholar, enthusiastically proclaimed on his podcast that discovering Noah's ship exactly where tradition had placed it anchors Christian doctrine firmly in historical reality. In churches around the world, pastors seized on this news to bolster the faith of their congregations, emphasizing that experts had pinpointed the Ark exactly where biblical teachings had long situated it. Even conservative theological circles, which had once censured Dr. Uckel for his exploration of evolutionary theories, now celebrated him. They acknowledged that this discovery brought honor to their faith and validated their long-standing beliefs before God. In the realm of biblical archaeology and geography, opposing viewpoints emerged swiftly to temper expectations regarding the discovery on Mount Ararat. They pointed out that the book of Genesis does not explicitly mention Mount Ararat by name, but rather refers to the mountains of Ararat, a vast region associated with the ancient Urartu kingdom, known for its numerous peaks. Skeptical scholars like Dr. Isaiah Dunn, a professor of religious history, took a more critical stance. In his online article titled, "Why the Discovery Proves Nothing," Dunn explained that early Hebrew texts use Ararat broadly to denote kingdoms or regions, suggesting that the Ark could have ended up on entirely different slopes, possibly hundreds of miles away from the modern Mount Ararat. Meanwhile, proponents of the discovery defended their position against academic skepticism. They argued that if the biblical reference is to the mountains of Ararat, then the highest and most prominent peak would logically be the focal point. Jones, in a moment of contemplation with Dr. Uckel, questioned why they couldn't accept that their discovery was guided by divine providence, regardless of exact geographical matches. Each objection raised about the secretive site prompted a corresponding rebuttal. Sadly, besides the strong arguments, the fervent pursuit of identifying Noah's Ark remnants also led to tragic incidents. Wealthy adventurer Brock Lancaster invested vast sums in risky solo climbing expeditions to locate what he believed to be Noah's true resting place. However, he mysteriously vanished during one such attempt, leaving behind only abandoned gear and human remains discovered by search teams. This grim outcome only added to Mount Ararat's infamous reputation as a treacherous and mysterious landmark. Throughout the ongoing debates and mounting pressure, Dr. Uccel's team remained steadfast in keeping the exact coordinates of their significant discovery under wraps. Dr. Uccel's assured that, at the right moment, they would escort dedicated researchers to the site. However, for the time being, further scientific examination was crucial to prevent any risk of contamination. The Mount Tendere controversy. For years, the ancient tale of Noah's flood has fascinated researchers worldwide, prompting many to share their discoveries and theories with eager anticipation. A particularly intriguing discovery emerged when scientists found an unusual rock formation on Mount Tendere, near the Turkish-Iranian border, that remarkably resembles the dimensions of the biblical Ark. This odd formation first captured attention in 1959, thanks to aerial photographs taken by the military. Subsequent investigations, including advanced 3D scanning, have suggested that structures beneath the surface might be man-made, potentially even the remnants of a ship. Measurements taken by American and Turkish scientists involved in the Noahs Ark Scans project indicate that the formation's dimensions closely match those described in the Bible. The data collected points to a higher likelihood of encountering a man-made structure resembling Noah's Ark. Ground-penetrating radar and electric resistivity tomography have revealed artificial constructs composed of parallel lines and angular shapes, which are uncharacteristic of natural rock formations. However, there is significant disagreement among experts. Many geologists point out that the rock formation lacks wood particles, which are crucial for confirming the biblical description of the Ark. They also emphasize that natural processes can create formations that mimic human-made structures. For example, Professor David Montgomery from the University of Washington dismisses the idea of a global flood entirely. He and others argue that there simply isn't enough water on Earth to submerge its entire surface, including the highest mountains. Research from the U.S. Geological Survey, cited by Live Science, supports this claim. They explain that even if all atmospheric water fell as rain simultaneously, it would only create about 1 inch of water globally. This brings into question the practicality of an ark housing every animal species, as described in the Bible. Even if all glaciers and ice caps melted, a scenario explored by NASA, and groundwater volumes were added, there would still be dry land. At best, the water would cover the Earth to a depth of approximately 590 feet. Furthermore, geologists find no evidence in the geological record to support the occurrence of a global flood. Consequently, these aspects of the biblical narrative are more possibly interpreted as allegorical representations rather than literal historical accounts. This perspective suggests that the story of Noah's Ark and the global flood serves as a symbolic or moral lesson, reflecting deeper truths or cultural beliefs of the time, rather than a factual recounting of events. Now it's time for today's subscriber pick. In the remote reaches of Mount Ararat, a team of explorers stumbled upon what legends had only dared to speak of: the remnants of Noah's Ark. Buried beneath centuries of ice and myth, the colossal wooden structure emerged like a dream-given form. Joan Chandler, an archaeologist with an insatiable curiosity, led the expedition. Her heart raced as she stood before the weathered timbers, marveling at the enormity of their find. This was history unveiled, a tangible link to humanity's shared past. But their joy was short-lived. News of their discovery spread like wildfire, reaching the ears of governments and scholars alike. Drones were dispatched to capture footage, documenting every inch of the Ark's weathered hull. As the drone's footage streamed across the world, questions arose. How had such an artifact remained hidden for so long? What secrets lay within its ancient corridors? And most troubling of all, how would humanity react to the revelation that their myths might hold a kernel of truth? Mount Ararat, once a beacon for explorers and dreamers, became a place of controversy and intrigue. Authorities swiftly intervened, cordoning off the site with caution tape and armed guards. Mount Ararat shut down after drone captures what no one was supposed to see, the headlines blared, igniting a global debate on history, faith, and the limits of human understanding. For Chandler and her team, the journey was far from over. As they awaited permission to resume their exploration, she gazed once more at the Ark, feeling the weight of history settle upon her shoulders. This discovery would change everything. A tale of faith across 3 faiths. The story of Noah's Ark is a timeless tale that captivates audiences across Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. For centuries, the dramatic narrative of the great flood that engulfed the earth and Noah's divinely inspired construction of a colossal vessel has ignited imaginations and provoked endless questions. The earliest mention of Noah's aquatic adventure appears in the book of Genesis in the Hebrew Bible. According to this ancient text, God was deeply troubled by the pervasive immorality and corruption of humanity. People had turned away from their Creator, disregarding moral principles and treating each other with disdain. Chaos and lawlessness were rampant. In a decision that still resonates emotionally, God determined that humanity needed a drastic reset, a cataclysmic flood to cleanse the world. Amidst this widespread wickedness, one man, Noah, was deemed righteous and blameless by God. When the Creator revealed his plan to unleash a devastating flood and offered Noah a chance to save humanity, he provided detailed instructions for building a massive ark. This ark would shelter Noah, his family, and a pair of every living creature. Noah meticulously followed God's blueprint, constructing a 3-level wooden vessel measuring 300 cubits in length, 50 cubits in width, and 30 cubits in height. In modern terms, this translates to approximately 437 feet long, 73 feet wide, and 44 feet high. In Genesis, God provided Noah with precise instructions to build what essentially became the world's first floating menagerie. The Ark, a colossal 3-story structure, was meticulously designed with rows of compartments, animals on the lowest level, humans in the middle, and birds on top. It was sealed inside and out with pitch to ensure complete waterproofing. The top deck featured an 18-inch opening around its perimeter, and a large door was fitted into its side. Despite the daunting task, Noah remained steadfast in his faith. Convinced that God's command signaled an imminent catastrophic flood, Noah rallied his 3 sons and their wives and gathered the necessary materials to begin construction. The monumental project spanned an estimated 75 to 100 years. During this time, amid sawing, hammering, and lifting, Noah and his family endured ridicule and scorn from their neighbors. They mocked the seemingly absurd endeavor, questioning how the entire planet could be flooded. Nevertheless, Noah persevered until God signaled it was time to embark. 7 days after Noah, his family and the animals were safely aboard, the floodgates of heaven opened. Torrential rain poured down continuously for 40 days and nights, supplemented by colossal bursts of water from underground reservoirs. The relentless deluge submerged even the highest mountains under nearly 30 feet of water, extinguishing all terrestrial life. The world became a vast, briny sea, with the Ark serving as the sole sanctuary for a remnant of humanity and the animal kingdom. Inside the Ark, Noah, his family, and the creatures endured the tempest for 5 long months before the storm finally subsided. The Ark came to rest on a peak in the Ararat mountain range, situated between modern-day Turkey and Armenia. As the floodwaters receded, Noah and his companions emerged as the new progenitors of humanity. In Islamic tradition, Noah is revered as the second Adam, living an additional 350 years after the floodwaters subsided. The Quran, the primary holy scripture of Islam, devotes over 100 verses to the figure known as Nuh in Arabic, corresponding to Noah in English translations of the Bible. Islamic tradition closely parallels the Genesis narrative, with some distinctive elements such as Nuh and his companions spending nearly 6 months aboard the Ark. Throughout this time, Nuh repeatedly implores God to intervene among his sinful neighbors, ultimately recognizing their irredeemable state. Across the Torah, the Old Testament, and the Quran, Noah holds a significant place, shaping the foundational beliefs of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Millennia after these accounts were first recorded, the story of Noah's unwavering faith and his divine mission to build a colossal vessel to rescue Earth's living creatures continues to resonate profoundly. Despite lingering uncertainties about the historicity of the Great Flood and the fate of Noah's Ark, one enduring truth emerges from his epic voyage: steadfast faith can endure any storm. Practical design challenges. Throughout history, Noah's Ark has captivated minds across diverse fields, from theologians and mathematicians to naval engineers, who grapple with the practicalities of Noah's monumental task. How did Noah and his family construct a ship over 4 football fields long, using only Bronze Age tools? What strategies kept thousands of animals peaceful and healthy during their months on board? These questions have sparked theories and debates that shed light on this ancient story that has fascinated humanity for millennia. Nautical enthusiast Tim Lovett proposes that Noah's Ark was designed to be completely watertight, challenging the notion of a bulky cargo barge. His analysis suggests a sleeker, more practical design with gradually narrowing floors and outward-leaning walls for stability. Lovett argues that the Ark likely had a ballasted keel, common in medieval ships, to maintain balance in rough seas. The logistics of caring for animals on board have also sparked theories. Some envision rows of stalls akin to modern stables, while others suggest habitats resembling natural environments. Feeding and watering thousands of animals for approximately 420 days pose significant challenges, with theories ranging from practical hunting strategies to supernatural sustenance. Operational logistics on the Ark likely included Noah as the captain overseeing tasks like provision management and maintenance, while his family managed deck crews responsible for animal care and ship upkeep. Navigation and maneuverability were limited due to the Ark's size, requiring collaborative efforts for slow movements and course corrections. Debates continue on how aspects of the Ark's construction and operation could have been achieved with ancient technology. While some interpret these details symbolically, focusing on the moral lessons of faith and obedience, others explore practical solutions to technical challenges posed by the biblical narrative. Ultimately, Noah's Ark endures as a symbol of salvation and resilience, illustrating the triumph of faith in the face of adversity. Do you think Noah's Ark can ever be found? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.